to start? Feels like you should be doing it though. Can I just like hold it up? Like this, like a rock star? Okay. Double. That's good. That's good stuff. That's good. Holy shit. It's a whole different story from this side, just so you guys know. So my name is Randy. I'm an addict. Yay. My clean date is February 20th of 2004. And my grand sponsee told me how much time I had when I went to sign in. Because I can't do the math very well. So if this goes awry and you want to leave, blame Trevor. He filled out my application, and also blame Mike because I'm pretty sure he set me up for this. So, as Trevor said, I was a drug therapist in a prison. You know, when I got clean, there was surprisingly enough 6 drug therapists that just got clean that year. I'm still here. I think they got too smart. I try to stay about as simple as possible. You know, I can't really quote things too good, and I show up to meetings because I forget things real easy, and I have trouble with learning people's names, so it's a really good way to introduce ourselves constantly because I forget names real easy. So I'm really glad we do that at all the meetings. You know, I had a sponsee for a while. I didn't know his name. He would say it in the meeting. I'd be like, it's Mike, it's Mike, it's Mike. Like, hey, man, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. Fuck. Couldn't save his number. Then he stopped calling me, so that was okay. Let's see. Yeah, so Trevor told me not to do a drug-a-log for too long, so I'm going to do the next 55 minutes or so with nothing but getting high. So I come from a little place called Grafton, West Virginia. Can you really find that on the map? Is anybody from Grafton? Hello. So I came from this real small, dysfunctional family. You know, it wasn't, you know, growing up was kind of hard. You know, I started using pretty young. It's real easy to use young when, you know, half your family is blazing users and the other half go to church constantly, and church is boring. And the other side seemed like they're having so much more fun all the fucking time. So I joined in as much as possible. You know, so my earliest memories of course, are of using. And, you know, drugs really worked well for me for some time. You know, because I never knew how to survive in life. I never had to cope with things. I didn't have any skills. So really, staying high just kept me alive. And then it stopped. And then I didn't know what the fuck to do. You know, I was talking with my wife last night. I guess I have a successful relationship these days, most of the time. It's odd. She's like, what was your favorite year? I'm like, 22 was really good for me. I had plenty of everything. 3 years later, I was ready for a bullet in the head. It turned bad quickly on me. But, yeah, for years, you know, I used drugs to survive. You know, it wasn't like, it's just what I did. You know, it was like, it's Tuesday, let's use drugs. Something good happened, let's get high. Something bad happened, well, let's get high. You know, and that's just what I did. And I just kind of went through life. You know, no one really suspected that I was using all the time, because apparently normal people don't think that we're high all the time. That's what I've come to realize. People don't think you're stoned constantly. You know, so yeah, I got a couple of degrees there. Got one when I was using still, and the other one I got halfway through when I was using, and that's when the bottom fell out, and I just couldn't fucking do anything right. But let me rewind a little further. I jump around a lot. My mind doesn't work very straight. So growing up, like this will make sense when I get to the end. So it's one of those Pulp Fiction movies, you know, like then you're like, oh, Zeke, now I see. So growing up, like Dad rolled out like immediately. I was like 6 months old. I've got his name, and that's about it. And he rolled out, you know. So I didn't know what having a dad was about, and you know, growing up was real poor. You know, it's like we didn't have much heat. I had like one pair of pants and the food we grew in the garden, and government cheese. That shit's good. If I could go somewhere and buy government cheese now, I would, because that shit's good. But yeah. So I grew up and it was poor. I was cold, and using took that away. You know, I didn't have to care about not having shit. I just didn't care about anything, you know. So, you know, I progressed from one thing to another thing and found the ones that worked a little better for me and the other ones I'd use as much as possible too. And till, you know, I had this thought that, you know, when I get done with college, I'm just going to be done with the drugs and I'm going to get a job and everything's going to be cool and I'm going to live life and I'm going to get a family and all this shit. And, you know, I graduated college there and, you know, I was like, I'm going to stop using. And every time I'd stop, like, I couldn't fucking live life at all. Like, nothing made sense. I couldn't deal with any problems. I didn't sleep. Nothing fucking worked right. I couldn't even fuck right. Yeah. I'm serious. Like, shit just didn't make sense unless I was fucking high. You know, so by 25, so the drug counselor thing, how that happened was I graduated, or right after I graduated, I was still using, and I took a whole bunch of state tests. And this one test I did really great on, it was all about drugs. I scored third in the whole state. I want to know who scored first and second. What was their fucking lives like? Because I was fucked up, man. I got third, so... Yeah, but it was just all about drugs. It's like, what plant looks like this? Well, I know that. You know, so that's really how that job happened, you know. I was fucking up with this other job, and the Department of Corrections called and was like, would you like to come interview? I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm screwing up now. I'll take a new job. I had like 16 jobs in 3 years in college, so screwing up a job. So it's like, I never got fired. I just quit before they can fire me. You know, so they called me. I interviewed. I can make a fine first impression, so they called me back, and the woman's like, now, remember, there's going to be a drug test. I'm like, oh my fucking God. And they're like, it's going to be next week. I'm like, there is no way I'm going to make that. So I came up with these great excuses, and I actually passed one off on them, and I got like 2 more weeks in which I ran faster and drank more water than I'd ever drank or ran in my life. I sweated profusely for 5 hours a day. I passed that fucking drug test. The investigator looked at me and said, this is the clearest urine I've ever seen. I said, oh, I just got done working out. That's why I like to work out a lot. Now, does this happen randomly or often? Or So I got that job, and yeah, I thought it was pretty awesome. It's like, I'm done with drugs. I'm just gonna use legal things, and that didn't work either. I can't use anything successfully, you know. So I was also working on this master's in counseling at the time, and that's this thing it's part of my life there. So yeah, I was a drug therapist. They're like, Randy, your job is to go assess people and their drug problems, and you let me know where they should be on the list to get into the drug program. I'm like, I can do this. It was like by the second, third, fourth, when I was like, I think I need to sign myself in. But I kept that quiet. I kept all this stuff inside. I wasn't going to say anything about my own fucking issues. I kept all this stuff quiet. And I started dating this girl that also worked in the prison. I was like, this is going to be great. She also got fucking high. How the fuck did that happen? And I'd use with her, but she didn't seem to use like me. Like she'd puff a little bit and be fine, and then I would use everything she had. And then I'd go to work, drug dogs are really fucking paranoid inducing when you're working there and you're sure they're gonna sit on you at any fucking moment. So they'd be like, oh, there's no, I'm like, oh, I gotta go this way. And I'd go hide until the drug dogs would go away. One time they're like, here, hold these drugs, and they're testing the dogs. So I'm holding these large sum of drugs in my office, just sitting there with the fucking secretary that I'm pretty sure used drugs too. I'm like, what are they going to do if these drugs disappear before they get here? So that was my using. Not very successful, and I can tell funny stories all day long. But really, it was me sitting in the fucking dark, either by myself or some other dude in the dark, not fucking knowing anybody. What's that? Said something. Come on. It's a group interaction. If you're going to heckle me, at least say it again. I'm sure it was funnier than me. But yeah, using was... nothing really. I wasn't fucking Al Pacino. I wasn't Scarface. I don't really, it was sad. It was being alone. It was alone with my drugs. And then that relationship ended, of course, and I just went further down. And I was on that thing there, and I was sitting in, I bought this house for $10,000 in the ghetto. And a house for $10,000 is not worth buying, just in case you were wondering. The heat didn't work. The roof leaked in 5 of the 8 rooms. And I heated with a kerosene heater, and I was eating ramen noodle 2 meals a day. The third meal I ate at the prison. The food was pretty good. It really was. It was pretty good. I'm not fucking around. It was pretty good. If you ever Perny Town, the food was good there. So that was my life, and I'm just sitting there. I'm all fucking alone. My family, I don't know if they didn't have anything to do with me or if I didn't have anything to do with them, but there was no connection there, and I got to that point. It's like, I'm gonna fucking shoot myself in the head. But then there was also these fucking NA members that were coming in. Fucking Rob was one of them. Trevor was one of them. They'd come in and they'd talk, and I don't know how this happened either, but my boss is like, your job is to watch the NA meeting and make sure nothing goes on. So when they would read the pamphlet of, we're under no observation at any time, I want to be like, liar, I'm right here. So yeah, I'd be like I'd be sitting there in the corner like this they'd be talking, I'd be like, this really fucking connects. I really felt with them. And so yeah, when it came down to my 40th day of not using and sitting on my couch, my deal was I'm either gonna shoot myself or go to a meeting. I went to a fucking meeting that night. And like Trevor said, I fucking snuck in under a false pretense. I needed some forms. I didn't need the form signed, but didn't need to stay. And then the next meeting I went back to, and it was back the next at the candlelight meeting, or the Christmas light meetings that they do now with the candles. And I introduced myself as an addict, and I was okay for the first time in years. For that 60 minutes, I wasn't going to kill myself. I wasn't going to get high, and everything was okay. And then I left that meeting, and my head broke loose again. Early recovery is fucking hard, but that first year was still the best year I had, well, since 22, I guess. But that first year, man, it really fucking sucked. Like, I had these weird things would happen with my eyeballs, like tears would come out. at like Hallmark commercials and shit. like just all kinds of. I did fall in love my first year. Her name was Mary. Pam knows this story. Mary had 5 kids by 8 different daddies. I loved her. But I knew there was something going on there, so kept my pants on. My secret to staying clean through multiple pains, keeping my fucking pants on. I can honestly say, I've never been in with anyone in that way in Narcotics Anonymous. That's, I'm pretty sure, one main reason I've stayed clean. For those who have decided to go into that pool, I salute you. And when your pain gets great enough, I will be there for you. Just do not get high. Call me first. I've tried to get my sponsees to follow that way, and well, that's a different subject. I'll move on. That can be sensitive for some people, I guess. But last thing, dude named Chris S. He looked at me and said, "It's the gift that keeps on coming." I'm like, it's great. It's great. So yeah. So I never got active in that way, Narcotics Anonymous, and things I did do that were suggested. I did get a sponsor. Trevor was my first sponsor for about 6-8 months. My second sponsor was a guy named Matthew for about 7-8 years, something like that. My third sponsor was Rob for about 1.5 years, 2. And I've got Roger now for about 6 months, year, something like that. And it's through this process of getting a sponsor and continually working through the 12 steps in Narcotics Anonymous that I have got my life to where it is, to where I'm here today, in front of you guys, And once again, holy shit. If I'd have been here, when I first got here, my first convention, if you'd been like, "Hey, in 9 years you're going to be up in front," I've been like, "No." Okay, I would have been, yeah. I'm self-centered and awesome. Right up here. But yeah, in my life today, I've been with the same woman now since a year clean. I met her. We worked together. She asked me out to go drinking. I told her no. She asked me out to go gambling. I told her no. She asked me to go bowling and drinking. I said no. She said, "You want to get some coffee?" I said, "Yeah, let's get some coffee." Surprised enough, she does not have a drinking problem. I thought she did. I still went out with her, though. And so I've been with her now. She's not in this fellowship. She did go to the Al-Anon fellowship there for a while. I wish you'd go back to those meetings. 12-step recovery can work for pretty much anybody as long as they're willing to work it. And that's what I fully believe, As far as step work goes, after 4 sponsors, 9 years, 9 months, and approximately 10 days, I worked through all 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. Some might say that was too short a time and I should have taken longer. Is any of those people here? Well, no one co-signed that one. I didn't think so. But yeah, so the steps are where it's at. The steps are how I enjoy my life today. And it's not like working them's all fun, this is great, working on step 1, I'm unmanageable and I'm powerless, that's great. And I'm going to turn my will over, and I got a higher power, and I'm going to make an inventory. And it really fucking sucked. There was a lot of pain. But it was pain I was ready for when I got to the next step. When I got here in Fairmont, there was this theory that if you got to 4 and it didn't destroy you, then you did it wrong. And then we realized that we hadn't been doing steps 1, 2, and 3 correctly, and that's why 4 was destroying us. And so enough of us did keep on staying clean, and when I got clean in Fairmont, there was Key Tag with 18 years or 15 years or something like that. Then Rob over there had like 3 years, and Matthew had 3 years, and there was like this giant fucking 15-year gap or something, And in Fairmont then, I remember I got like 7 months, and I had the most time in the room, and somebody was like, "You're an old-timer here in Fairmont." That doesn't happen anymore in Fairmont, because usually at every meeting I've been to, there's at least a couple other black key tags there, showing that this program does work, and that's really awesome, because I've grown to really love a lot of people and have a lot of good relationships in my life, and that's only through staying clean with people and staying together with people and not doing what my disease wants me, because my disease wanted me on the way down to call and say, "I ain't fucking coming, I ain't doing this, I'm just going to stay home," make up some excuse or something. That's what my disease wanted me to do. My disease wanted me to tell Trevor when he said, "Can I fill out the application?" I'm like, "No, fuck that, I ain't doing that shit." But it's what I learned originally. A little bit of willingness goes a long way. And it's not even like when I got here, I had like a ton of willingness and love and compassion for everybody. I was angry. I hurt all the fucking time. And I just really wanted the world to go away. And if I died, I was fine with that too. And today I'm not that same person. Today I do have compassion for others. I do want the newcomer to stay clean and to get better. And I want people with time to fucking show up to meetings. I've got friends that stopped coming. They didn't go back to using yet. Their lives are crazy as fuck, and they isolate themselves and all kinds of shit, but they're not high. I guess they're okay. The one guy, as long as his dick's hard, he's fine. And the other guy, as long as he stays up on the fucking mountain, and doesn't fucking leave, he's okay up there too, I guess. But last time I talked to him, he's like, "I was in the garage with the fucking shotgun, I didn't know what's going on." I'm like, maybe we should fucking go to a meeting. I remember when I got done with step 1, I was like, I'm good with the steps, don't need those other 11, I'm just going to fucking rock out with 1. I can't use drugs, everything's cool. And then about a week or 2 later, I'm calling Trevor. I'm like, "Trevor, I need to talk. I'm going to go get high." He's like, I'll meet you early at the meeting. He showed up 1 minute before the meeting started. But I stood in that fucking parking lot for like an hour early and did not get high. Waiting for Trevor. But Trevor showed me great compassion when I got here. Once again, I was not a very nice person when I got here. Trevor would take me places. Once again, I was eating a lot of ramen noodle back then, so he would buy me some food. Even though I think I made more money than him, I had no money skills, and I was really in the hole significantly. So yeah. I remember when I had like 9 months clean, I walked into the meeting, and this guy named Carmen, he looked at me and said, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" I said, "What do you mean, what the fuck's wrong with me?" He's like, "You're whistling." I'm like, "I didn't know I was whistling. I must be okay. I'm okay today." I called my sponsor after 3 days at OK and said, "There's something wrong. I've been okay for 3 days." He said, "Randy, that's normal." I like 2 or 3 years clean, my white key tag broke. Like the little thingy broke off my key ring. I called my sponsor. His first words out of his mouth were, "You don't have to get high. You can borrow mine." Because in my thinking, my fucked up thinking was like, well, great, now I got to get high again. Oh, by the way, I've only got that 1 white key tag. I've only got 1 clean date. It does fucking happen. So if you're here for your first time, you don't have to go the fuck back out. If a dumb fuck like me can do it, anybody can. Trust me. I did this program kicking and screaming. Right, Rob? Taking suggestions against my better judgment. But I stay clean. And I've taken enough suggestions that I didn't use drugs. You know, that was the biggest one. Don't use no matter what. You know, my good buddy Guns, where is he? I saw him on the way in. Guns. Did he fucking leave? Douche. All right, well, this guy, he got I sponsored him for a while. And he must have got 20, 40 more white key tags than we could hang on the one wall. And now he's got 4 years clean. You know, so proving that people can stay clean when they finally do so choose to work this program. You know, this is a program of action. You know, I can't get anybody clean. I can't stay clean for anybody else besides myself. You know, I have to do the work myself. That means I got to pick up the phone and call my sponsor. It's still a problem. And I even like my sponsor. It's not like he busts my balls or nothing. He's a nice dude. And I need to go to meetings, and I need to share in those meetings. I need to read some literature, you know. But really, the work I do to stay clean today is so much less than all the work I did to stay high. You know, for God's sakes, I've been to different cities on vacation. One, I had money to go on vacation. And two, I knew where the meetings were because they're openly posted. You know, I've been to meetings in Erie, Pennsylvania. Anybody here from Erie? No? Great meetings in Erie. If you're near there, the lake's nice too. New York City. Everybody talked about these giant meetings in New York City. I've been to a lot of meetings in New York City, and they're 30 people big. I don't know what these fucking 200 people meetings are, but I've been to the 30 people meetings, and it's pretty awesome. They got the little 5-minute timer. You share for 5 minutes with 30 people, and it's meetings an hour and a half. It's great. And, you know, you get to know people, you know. So I've been in New York City, the biggest city, and, you know, talking with people and drinking coffee with people and sharing the experience of recovery and addiction with them. And it's the same fucking meetings that I have back in Fairmont. The only difference is I took the train instead of fucking drove my car, you know. And the coffee tastes just the same, to be honest. Just delicious coffee. and the comfortable metal chairs. They just get more comfortable every year I stay clean. Every year that metal chair just gets a little better. You know, but the miracles that I have in my life in recovery, you know. My fucking grand sponsee's here somewhere. Giggles, hello. He's also known as Mike. But when he first got here, he always laughed when he talked, no matter what. And now he doesn't. He talks and he laughs when he's supposed to laugh. But see, there's 26 mics in that area, so I couldn't save his mic in my phone. But I really like that dude. You know, we hang out some, we talk. You know, the first time I met him, we went on a 12-step meeting call. Dude didn't show up, but we developed a friendship, you know. So where the one guy didn't show up, I saw him a few months later. He wasn't looking too good. But me and Mike's talking and doing good now, you know. And it's been years now. It was 3 years now, Mike? Yeah, it's pretty awesome. You know, just seeing him grow and seeing his sponsor grow and adapt and change. And this life happens all the fucking time, you know. I got a little 3-year-old kid now, you know. So my kids never seen me use drugs. My wife's never seen me use drugs. And my mother goes to my anniversaries. And it's like a beautiful pain, you know. You know what I mean? It's one of those beautiful pains. It's I'm so glad my mother's there for me, but I really wish she hadn't been through all that. You know, I've been able to make the amends in my family through working the 12 steps, and I have a good relationship with my mother these days to a point that I couldn't even see her. So when she says, "When's your anniversary?" I think it's coming up. I hope she fucking forgets every year. I don't talk about it. My wife's like, "Hey," I'm like, "Shh, don't mention it around my mother." She fucking goes. I get fucking emotional. Weird tear things again. But my recovery's not always been like an upward progression. There's been times of some steady declines. When I was working on step 11, I decided I could pray and keep in conscious contact with my power greater than myself, go to meetings, talk about working steps, and do everything opposite of what I was talking about. To a point that I was hanging out, there was intoxicants around, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I can do those fucking too. I'm pretty sure I've got years clean. I can definitely fucking do this. And then that little fucking voice was like, you still got that deal with God, remember? Bullet to the head? You want that deal? I'm like, fuck, I do got that deal still. So I decided to stop living a lie and get active once again with an honest program, not just the bullshit program. Then once again, that's when it started going back up again and my insanity started going down. It was also during working, how long have I been up here? I don't know. I hate to go up here for like 2 hours rambling. Has it been 2 minutes already? It's been 2 minutes. Okay, thanks. Seems time's relative. So I was doing things in my life that I should not have done, and I realized that I didn't use drugs and do the bad things because of the drugs. I just did bad things and used drugs. That's what I learned about step 11. I was like, I think, I did this really wrong thing just because I was fucking high. And then I was doing wrong things very similar to that, and I hadn't used drugs in years. That was a shocking realization to me. I was like, I can be that same fucking animal I rolled in here as. And I didn't like that animal when I got here, because that's really how I lived. I remember when Trevor first came to my house one night, when I first got clean, and I was hungry, and I had a can of, I think it was diced tomatoes with those little spicy green chilies in them. I take a motherfucking can. I'm like, you want some? He's like, no. I'm like, they're good. I feed my fucking dog out of a can. You're supposed to heat that shit up, I'm pretty sure. But I didn't think about that. I'd been living in an animal level for so long that I didn't fucking care. I just didn't fucking care no more. So I didn't want to go back to living like that animal, just being self-centered and doing whatever the fuck I wanted to do. So when I started wanting to work in active program recovery again, my insanities went back to where they were, balanced. So to the last year of my life, it's been kind of odd. There's been some odd things happen to me, actually for the last year and a half. So I joined this home group when I got clean. My grand sponsor was there. My sponsor was in that group, and so I joined that group too. It's this little church right outside there. It's a nice little thing, and I went to that home group for a while, and I set the meeting up there for like 2 years. Then I quit that home group. Then I went back to that home group. Then I quit that home group again. Then went back. I'm pretty sure that's my home. But my wife wanted to move out of the $10,000 house eventually. I had fixed it up throughout the years, don't worry. I got heat working and the roof didn't leak and it was warm and things like that. I started paying for cable, So my wife's like, we need to move. The house next to that church went on the market and we bought it. So the house that I had stood next to for years, I now stand on the porch. And sometimes I go to that church just for shits and giggles, just to go in the basement again, because the home group moved. Because we got too fucking big for the parking lot. That was awesome. We had to move just because the parking lot wasn't big enough for all the cars. Everyone going for meetings. Had to move. But yeah, it's real neat just to go back, and some of the people there I dealt with just because I was one of the contacts for that group, and they know me from this group. And one guy said, "Whatever happened to that group you're with at there?" I'm like, "Oh, we made this other church with a bigger parking lot now." But he's like, "Oh, well, good. I'm glad you guys are doing well still, and I'm accepted. I'm accepted there, and I'm accepted here. I'm accepted there because I'm not using drugs and doing bizarre things next to them, because when I used drugs, I did some bizarre things in various churches, and I make those amends now by not doing bizarre things in churches. So I bought this house right next to my home group. Other odd things, my father showed up just the other day. 34 fucking years of not being there. I'm painting this damn doghouse with my kid, and this car shows up in my parking lot. This guy fucking hobbles out with a fucking cane, looking rough, looking aged and decrepit, and I fucking knew who it was. I've not seen him in like over a decade since the last time I saw him for like 5 minutes. I didn't know if I wanted to punch him, throw him off the property, or talk to him. And I remember working step 9 and having to go and knock on some people's doors and saying, "Yeah, I did some wrong things to you, and what can I do to make this situation amended?" And so I thought about that, and I didn't throw him off the fucking property. I didn't punch him in the face. I did tell my kid to go inside. She listened so well that day. And I went down and I talked to him in my garage for about an hour, and he said everything that an abandoned son would ever want to heard. And I was really fucked up after that, to be honest. Like, I didn't know what to fucking do. So I started going to meetings and sharing about it and talking to my sponsor and friends in the program, and then I called him again. And then we went and had some supper the other night. And I ordered pie, because pie makes things better. It really fucking did, man. But I was honest with him. I'm like, "I've got a lot of fucking anger towards you, dude." He goes, "Well, I figured that." He goes, I probably should have showed up earlier." I'm like, "You probably shouldn't have, because I would have thrown you off the property or punched you in the face once again." So things I still don't know what to do. Tell my mother, who's still very bitter toward the individual. Tell my sister, who's also very bitter toward the individual. So my wife's like, "Should we invite him for the holidays?" I'm like, "Yeah, that'll be great." So that's my confusion currently. How to be a 34-year-old son to a man that was never there. I don't know. It's weird shit. Things that also bother me today is in Fairmont last March, it was packed like this in every meeting I went to, and now suddenly it's getting a little better, but there a month ago there was 8, 9 people in these meetings. Where is everybody at? Are they dead? Are they better now? Where'd they go? I'm there. I'm still sitting there. Where's all these people that got a year last year? Where's all these people that got 2 years last year? And they gave me a fucking life, and I want to give it back to people that are still struggling. I want to be there when there's nobody else there with time to show that it still works. Because I remember being 7 months clean with the most clean time in the room, thinking, "Are we sure this works?" I hear some rumors, but are we sure? Where's all the black key tags at? Do those white ones really glow so your sponsor can find you? I don't know. Yeah, that's my other bit of annoyance these days. And I don't know, once again, my memory's bad, but I really can't figure out who the fuck's not there. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, last few months ago, it was like 80. Now it's 9. Who the fuck's missing? And I really, like all these people, that don't stick around for that long, they turn into this dark spot in my mind that I just can't bring up a fucking picture of. And it really hurts sometimes that I've known all these people, and I've cared for all these people, I've loved all these people, and I can't remember what they fucking look like. There's been so many people come into my life now that I've loved and I've cared about, and I don't know what they look like. I've had so many sponsees that I can't remember how many. I have one right fucking now. I've had a lot more than one. He's been there now for a couple years now, and with him there's been a lot more. Who were these fucking people, you know? Who did I talk to at 2 in the morning? Are you dead now? Are you locked up? Are you dying? And this is what I'm dealing with in my mind. You know, this is what I'm dealing with when there's 9 people in a room. You know, where are all these people that I loved? You know, and I fucking hide that shit, you know, put it way down in my back pocket there. You know, act tough, you know, just be standoffish, you know, not hug the newcomer for a while because I'm self-centered. I'm self-righteous. I don't want to fucking hurt no more. But if I don't reach out, then I'm not going to get any new friends, you know. I think sometimes, because I've been here for a while and I've had personality conflicts with pretty much everybody. Sometimes I think we get newcomers just to make new friends. It's like, thank God a new person's here. I'm going to take you and buy you some supper because I don't want to talk to any fucking else. I'm going to give you a hug and then sneer at you in the dark. But as also someone who's been here enough and long enough, I've learned to re-love people. Barbara. Hi, Barbara. Barbara was a big part of my recovery for a big part of my time there when I was, she still is, but we just don't have that connection still, because we had a home group together in Grafton. Barbara stopped coming to the home group for a while because she couldn't stand me. Honest, right? Honest. But then after a while, being in meetings together, she let me stay up at her place. Me and my wife, we got the vacation there for her place there. It was real nice, and she kind of liked me after a while, you know. See, I love you too, Barbara. Sorry, I was such an asshole when I first got here, but I didn't know how else to be. All I knew was asshole. I still can be quite the asshole, but now I have options. If I so choose to act on those options. You know, if I so choose to be a person of spiritual virtue, if I have empathy, if I have honesty, if I don't act on every character defect, if I don't let my exact nature of wrong run rampant. And just to show that the steps make things easier, I'll tell you guys my step 5, just so you guys know my exact natures of all my wrongs. Prepare yourselves for my deepest, darkest secret. I'm really self-centered. That is at the root of pretty much everything that I've done wrong, along with my self-righteousness. So if you're thinking, God, those steps are so scary, that's my step 5. Terrifying. Step 4 took me like 8 months and 100 pages. I had like 8 pages of resentments. I didn't think that was enough. And I was talking to my sponsor in the parking lot, and I'm like, I've been writing on my resentments, but I don't think I got them all. He's like, how many do you have? I got 8 pages. The guy that was driving the druggy buggy, the rehab folks, he started laughing. Apparently 8 pages front and back is a lot. The hardest thing there was my assets and Barbara's husband, who's passed now, died clean, was a big part of my recovery as well. Said one of the things I was on my step 4 is I like dogs. On my step 4 asset list, I like dogs. I didn't really know what else was nice about me at the time. I'm serious. I asked for help on them. Like, I don't know any asset of mine. Now, I can make a much better asset list today, and I'd still include I like dogs. Not my dog, but dogs in general. But, yeah, for all its pain, when I got done, it was just pages of writing. I'd already lived through it. It wasn't like some big secret. There was some things in there that I kind of forgot about that kind of came up as I was writing that was kind of painful. And my memory's not that good, so there's snippets of memory that aren't very pleasant, but I wrote about them because I wanted to be honest. I heard enough times if I left something off, I might go get high again, and I don't want to go do that again. So I was honest with that shit. And I'm still here. 6 and 7, not that bad. 6, I remember I was like, I'm just going to control. I'm going to control things. My big thing is anger. So I'm just not going to get angry anymore. I was so pissed off like every hour of every day. Finally, I'm writing on my steps, and I was using that that 306 font. It's like. And right then, it clicked through. It's like, why don't I work step 1, 2, and 3 on this shit? And then I looked at the step working guy and said, look at step 1, 2, and 3. And I called my sponsor. He's like, what about step 1, 2, and 3? I'm like, the program works. There you go. 8 was the only step I ever got pulled off of for a while because I was using it as a weapon against myself. I was writing things and condemning myself for everything with no acceptance of any change of myself. And my sponsor pulled me off for about a month, and then I went back to it. 9, there was some things that just is going to be a living amend. Some things, if I recontact people, it would be a significant negative. To them and to myself, so, I donate money, and there's been face-to-face ones as well, and I got called an asshole, and because I was being an asshole, I was not a good person, and I made it through that. 10, I do 10 every night now, I don't write it down. Some people do, but I hate writing. I just write it in my mind there. I think about it. I do my little inventory. And 11, once again, as long as I'm honest there with that conscious contact, things work out better. And 12, I couldn't just destroy the world because I wanted to. I can't just randomly hurt people because I want to. I need to reach out to the addict who still suffers. Somebody else that came back into my life. I used to use with this dude all the time. And then I got this call. I was at my desk there, and got a phone call. He's like, hey, it's this guy. I'm like, hey, I've not talked to you for a long time. He's like, yeah, I've been trying to pull myself together like I think you did a few years ago. I'm like, yeah, a couple years back I did. So he's not ready for being clean yet. But we talked, and I'm like, I go to Narcotics Anonymous meetings, and that's how I stay substance free, and that's how I've changed my life to where the life I have today. And he's like, oh, I don't think I'm ready for that. That's what his exact words. He goes, I got this thing I do now. I only use it on the weekends. I'm like, hey, man, you work that as long as you possibly can. If that's working great, and if you're having fun, and it's working great, you keep doing that. Because I had that same fucking program. And it sucked. The weekends sucked. The ones I remembered. It just sucked. So that's my line, because, Fairmont's a small town, and I'll see people. They're like, there's meetings? I'm like, yeah, I still go. There's one tonight I'm going. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to those meetings no more. I've been using a little bit. It's okay. I'm like, well, one guy's like to him said, well, as long as you're having fun at it still. He looked down and he goes, I'm not. I said, well, I'm going to the meeting here a little bit. You know where it's at. It's in the same fucking place. I was there. Hopefully he shows up too. Because once again, when I saw him and I talked to him, he was one of those dark spots in my mind. I knew who he was. And I was glad to see him alive. Whenever I see anyone on the street that, when people use and they're using and they see you for meetings, they will make a scene sometimes. I'm glad they're still alive. They're not fucking dead. Because if you're dead, you don't get a chance to come back here. But once again, if you're here now, you don't have to go back there. It's a program of action, and I'm not really the smartest dude, and I've stayed clean. And I'm not really the most willing dude, and I've stayed clean because I've just not used no matter what, and I've attempted to work a Narcotics Anonymous program as best as I can. And it's with your guys' help that I've been able to stay here. It's definitely a we program. And that's all I got.